And on the phone with us, I am honored and privileged to actually have our next guest and introduce our next guest. U.S. Senator Jack Reed is on the line, and I wanted to welcome to the next level Senator Reed. Senator?
Thanks, Anthony, and congratulations on your show and your leadership in the community, in both business and the philanthropic community. Thank you.
I really appreciate you being on. I hear there's 11,000 flights that have been canceled. I think that you're probably dealing with bigger things right now than...
There's a lot of canceled flights, but it's a pleasure to be with you.
Well, we appreciate it very much. This show, as I've spoken to you before, the show is about getting businesses in Rhode Island to the next level and helping them both by way of providing resources, mentoring, helping companies get to the next level. So I kind of wanted to throw out some of the frontline information that we're hearing. Certainly I'm hearing, and we own several businesses as well, is there seems to be a little bit of improvement out there, and certainly in the Rhode Island economy, slightly, but certainly moving in the right direction. I wanted to kind of get your take on it and see what you're seeing and what you feel for 2011 and beyond.
Well, there's some encouraging signs. You've got a rebound in the stock market, which affects a lot of people through their 401k plans, through their retirement plans, and you're seeing indications that lending by banking institutions is picking up. And those are good signs. But until it translates into increased employment, we're not really at the point of a stable and sustainable recovery. And that has to be the focus in terms of getting jobs. I mean, some of the good news in Rhode Island, it can be traced back to in one area, the defense sector. Just a week or two ago, we were with Electric Boat. They've got the best outlook they've had in several years in terms of stability, employment going forward. That helps other small companies in Rhode Island who are vendors to Electric Boat. That's one example, but we can't rest. Until we get a much more robust employment situation, we still have a long way to go. So
what I'm trying to do, certainly, and I'm just one microcosm of the whole thing, but we're trying to galvanize businesses together to work together arm in arm to move our state forward, our local economy forward. And I don't know if you had any recommendations. How do we... Because I'm certainly sometimes I'm a little miffed at how to do it. I'm trying. Is there a way that we could do that you may, words of wisdom here that would actually help galvanize and get our businesses together to work together to move our state forward?
Well, one thing that is available and sometimes overlooked in the hustle and bustle of, frankly, trying to run a small business particularly, is that there are some areas of expertise. You've got the Chafee Center at Bryant University, which is trying to focus on small business development, exporting. You've got the Small Business Development Center at Johnson & Wales. You've got manufacturing assistance programs. There are areas, and it all boils down to, in many respects, continuous learning and learning from others. I mean, letting successful entrepreneurs who've already made progress share what they think is the key. And I think, again, this goes to the value of your show, which is to bring on the air people who have experience, people who have techniques, people who have experiences that are relevant and valuable. But there are places that I would recommend at Bryant, at Johnson & Wales, the Small Business Administration, an often overlooked resource in the state. That is someplace where people should go, and we'd be glad to help through my office.
We had Gene Hewitt on and Mark Haywood on last week from the SBA, and that actually was hit by, it's nationwide actually, because this podcast actually goes nationwide. Right. But I was very impressed, and I actually did quite a bit of research into the SBA, obviously before the show, but I consider myself a pretty smart business person and knowledgeable of what's out there, but I was amazed at what the SBA really has to offer businesses in a way that I think many businesses don't know. So I don't know if that's what you're experiencing, but certainly...
No, that's true, Anthony. I think there's usually the first set of questions that businessmen and women have, they're not unique to that person or that company. They've been asked before, there's been answers, and they're available. It's just networking. And again, this goes to what I think you're about, which is putting people in touch, sharing best practices. There are places in the state that are doing that, and we've got to do more of it. And then, frankly, the other the other reality is we're no longer competing against, businesses across the state border. It's international. So you have to have a lot more access. And, again, at Bryant University, they have an international business center where they're trying to encourage exporting techniques to do that. Ray Fogarty, who
Ray Fogarty does a wonderful job there.
Exactly. And there are resources there. And frankly, they want to be called. They want to be able to reach out and touch more people.
So what resources can so your office? I know your office provides. Let me say this. From our perspective, from my perspective, certainly, I think that you do an incredible job, and you are a true statesman, and I have to commend you on that. I can't think of another politician that people emulate and try to look up to than you locally, certainly. So I do want to say that to you, and I've said it to you personally, but I do want to say that on the air because as I come across different businesses, and I come across literally hundreds of them. Everybody seems to feel the same way about you. So hopefully you pat yourself on the back enough to know that you're doing a great job.
Well, you're too kind. And first, I have a great privilege, which is to represent the people of Rhode Island. And frankly, I'm very fortunate to have this privilege, and I just try to work hard. And it's all I can say is I try to work hard. The other stuff is hopefully it works out, but I just try to do my best.
Congratulations on your possible. I think you're going to be doing the subcommittee of the Appropriations Committee.
Yes.
You're certainly on Appropriations Committee, but you may be you're in line for a chairmanship.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's incredible.
It is an area which has significant jurisdiction. You've got an Environmental Protection Agency. You've got the Department of Interior. Most of the Department of Interior functions, which deal with offshore development, such as wind development. The National Park Service of Rhode Island has the smallest, I think, national park in the nation, the Roger Williams Park in Providence. But we have the best national park in the nation. So it's I think, an opportunity to try to ensure that these agencies are appropriate stewards of the government that are balancing the needs of regulation, but the needs of economic growth too.
No, I have to agree. Some of the legislation pieces that were passed last year as well, as far as economic growth, I was pretty amazed. I was shocked as a business owner to see the number of pieces of positive business pieces of legislation that were in. What was your experience there? Because that's seemed to be everybody came together to make that happen quickly.
It was. There was a significant and productive session. I mean, it was a lot of controversy because of the real problems we face. I mean, this is the worst economy we've had since the Great Depression. It's improving, but not enough, not fast enough. But through not only the Recovery Act, which has been able to put some resources into the state, help support the projects, put people to work, but also financial modernization. And then, frankly, in the last few weeks of the session, the extension of tax cuts so that people have some certainty, but also they have some more disposable income. Extension of unemployment compensation benefits for a year, because there are still people who are looking seriously and looking relentlessly for work, but they're not finding it. So I think one of the hopeful aspects of all of the activity was a degree of certainty and confidence, and that's reflected in some of the encouraging signs we're seeing both in the financial market as well as some of the employment markets. But again, we are far from the point we have to be.
No, I certainly agree with you. I think that we have a little ways to go. Do you have any recommendations for businesses out there? Because what I see, I guess, is a little bit of a stalemate. Businesses are nervous. They want to add jobs. They have, like we have, the ability to probably add some jobs. Mm-hmm. But there's a nervousness of where things are going, so they're actually kind of almost not doing anything. I don't know if you had a recommendation for those businesses.
No, I think that's exactly where business is located at the moment, which is there's some encouraging signs, but they want to make sure that those are true indications of the economy going forward. And I think there's two factors. There's been a very painful reduction by businesses. It's very, very difficult to let good workers go. There's a human element here we have to recognize.
Well,
and so difficult. People aren't going to hire up again until they're sure they can tell that person, you're with us for not just for the next several months, but you're with us, as we look into the future.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly a difficult thing. I can speak firsthand. When you're having to lay someone off and also hiring, you're really trying to provide for families. I mean, we always look to not so much the profit and loss as much as the families, and that's what we've done.
Well, that's why these wrenching decisions forced by the economy. It's hard to suddenly just go turn around and say, well, okay, I'm going to start. I've got 2 or 3 months of good numbers. Now I'm going to go back. I think people, human nature, they're going to wait for something they think is a sustainable trend, and no one likes uncertainty. So any bit of uncertainty tends to kind of upset the calculations going forward. But our hope is that as you see these positive trends, spread further. I think there was about 197,000 new private sector jobs just reported,
which is wonderful.
That's a good number, and again, the growth now has to be led by the private sector. Where the Recovery Act provisions are not going to be extended, so this has to be private sector-led growth. That's why lending is important. That's why business confidence is important, and all those things. It's a constant effort, constant work to make it happen.
Well, I certainly want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy day today to be with us, and I encourage people to reach out to your office because you are incredible at follow-through. Your office is incredible at follow-through, and I commend you at doing such a fabulous job, and we're very proud of you here back home.
Well, thank you, Anthony. And I want to thank you also, too, because, you represent not only someone who's a very, very good business person, but your philanthropic activities, in particularly in memory of your mother, is something that is I just admire immensely.
Well, thank you very, very much. Actually, I hear that you run. You're an avid runner. You're actually running some of the downtown 5Ks. Maybe we can see you at our 5K downtown.
I'm running after a 4-year-old lately, so I'm in training.
That's always fun, right?
Yes.
Well, it gives you something to look forward to. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
Please stay safe this afternoon.
Thank you.